When you hear your blood pressure numbers, most people only focus on one thing. Is it high or not? But here's the question almost no one asks. Which number is actually more dangerous? If your reading is something like 138/76, you're probably wondering, is the top number the real problem? Or is the bottom number the one silently causing damage? Here's what's important to understand. Those two numbers are telling you very different stories about your health. And after 60, one of them becomes far more important than most seniors realize. For years, even doctors debated which number mattered most. But modern research has given us much clearer answers, and those answers can help you catch serious problems years earlier, before symptoms ever appear. In today's video, I'm going to break down systolic versus diastolic blood pressure in a way that actually makes sense. You'll learn what each number really means, how aging changes their importance, and which one may be giving you an early warning sign that shouldn't be ignored. If you've ever looked at your blood pressure reading and felt confused or unsure, stay with me. This information could change how you understand your heart health. And before we continue, tell me in the comments, which number do you usually worry about more, the top or the bottom? Let's start by understanding what those numbers truly represent. What do the top and bottom blood pressure numbers mean? Blood pressure is simply a measure of how much force your blood applies to the inside walls of your arteries. But the two numbers you see on the screen are telling you two very different stories about what's happening inside your body. The top number, called systolic blood pressure, measures the pressure in your arteries when your heart contracts and pushes blood forward. This is the moment of highest force. A helpful way to picture it is like turning on a faucet. There's an initial surge of water rushing through the pipes. That surge represents systolic pressure. As we age, systolic pressure often rises because arteries become stiffer and less elastic. When vessels can't expand easily, pressure increases during each heartbeat. That's why systolic pressure is especially important in seniors. The bottom number, called diastolic blood pressure, measures the pressure when your heart relaxes between beats and refills with blood. This is the steady background pressure that remains in your arteries even when the heart isn't actively pumping, similar to the constant pressure inside plumbing pipes when the water is running quietly. Both numbers matter, but they don't rise for the same reasons. Systolic pressure is more influenced by artery stiffness and heart workload. Diastolic pressure is more related to vascular tone and resistance, how tight or relaxed your blood vessels stay at rest. Understanding this difference is critical, because changes in one number can signal different health risks than changes in the other. That's why doctors don't just look at high or low blood pressure, they look at which number is changing and why. In the next part, we'll explain which number is more dangerous for seniors and when. What do the top and bottom blood? Now let's talk about systolic hypertension, which is the most common form of high blood pressure in adults over the age of 50. As we age, our arteries naturally begin to lose elasticity. Imagine a rubber band that's been stretched too many times. It becomes stiff and doesn't snap back the way it used to. When arteries lose this flexibility, blood pressure rises more sharply each time the heart pumps. This leads to higher systolic readings. Other age-related factors often contribute as well. Conditions like diabetes, changes in heart valve function, and long-term inflammation all place additional strain on the cardiovascular system. Together, these changes push systolic blood pressure higher, even when the bottom number remains normal. Why does this matter? Elevated systolic blood pressure significantly increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes. It also raises the likelihood of angina, which is chest pain caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. Over time, consistently high systolic pressure can damage the delicate blood vessels in the kidneys, potentially leading to permanent kidney impairment. What makes systolic hypertension especially concerning is that it often develops silently. Many seniors feel fine and have no symptoms until a serious event occurs. That's why monitoring and managing systolic blood pressure becomes increasingly important with age. Even modest reductions can greatly lower the risk of cardiovascular complications and help protect long-term health. In the next section, we'll look at how diastolic pressure compares and which number deserves more attention depending on your age and health profile. Now let's talk about the other number, diastolic blood pressure, and why it can also be dangerous, especially when it stays high over time. Diastolic blood pressure is the pressure inside your arteries when your heart is resting between beats. This resting phase is critical because it's when your heart muscle itself receives oxygen-rich blood through the coronary arteries. When diastolic pressure is too high, it means your blood vessels are under constant tension, even when the heart is supposed to be relaxed. Unlike systolic hypertension, which is more common with aging, diastolic hypertension often reflects increased resistance in smaller blood vessels. This can be driven by chronic stress, excess weight, inflammation, insulin resistance, or overactivation of the nervous system. Why is this dangerous? Persistently high diastolic pressure reduces blood flow to the heart muscle itself, increasing the risk of coronary artery disease, chest pain, and long-term heart damage. It also places strain on the kidneys, which rely on delicate blood vessels to filter waste. Over time, this can contribute to kidney dysfunction. Another important concern is that high diastolic pressure has been associated with an increased risk of heart failure, particularly a type known as diastolic heart failure, where the heart becomes stiff and cannot fill properly. In younger and middle-aged adults, elevated diastolic pressure is often an early warning sign, a signal that the vascular system is under stress long before major events occur. So while systolic pressure often gets the spotlight, diastolic hypertension should never be ignored. Both numbers tell different but equally important stories about your cardiovascular health. Here's what most people never realize about high blood pressure. It's not just about the numbers, it's about what's happening to your blood vessels over time. Blood pressure doesn't suddenly become dangerous overnight. It changes gradually, often starting with subtle stiffness in the arteries, chronic inflammation, poor circulation, and nervous system imbalance. By the time numbers rise clearly into the high range, damage may already be underway. Another critical point many people miss is this: stress, breathing patterns, sleep quality, and circulation all influence blood pressure immediately. That's why two readings taken minutes apart can be very different. Fast, shallow breathing activates stress hormones and tightens blood vessels. Calm, slow breathing does the opposite, relaxing arteries and lowering pressure in real time. So, after breaking everything down, here's the takeaway every senior needs to remember. Both blood pressure numbers matter, but they tell us different stories. The top number, systolic, reflects how hard your heart must work to push blood through stiffening arteries. After age 60, this number becomes especially important because it's strongly linked to heart attacks, strokes, and kidney damage. The bottom number, diastolic, tells us how well your arteries relax between heartbeats. When it's too high, it signals constant pressure on your blood vessels, increasing the risk of heart strain, vessel damage, and reduced blood flow to vital organs. But here's what most people miss. High blood pressure is not just a number problem. It's a circulation and vessel health problem. Medications can help, but long-term control also depends on lifestyle, breathing patterns, stress levels, sleep quality, movement, and nutrition. That's why two people with the same blood pressure reading can have very different health outcomes. The goal is not just to chase numbers, but to protect your arteries, support your heart, and reduce strain on your entire circulatory system. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: know your numbers, understand what they mean, and talk with your doctor about what matters most for your age, body, and health goals. If this video helped you understand your blood pressure better, subscribe for more senior-focused health guidance explained clearly and calmly. No fear, no hype. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which number worries you more, the top or the bottom? Thank you for watching, and take care of your heart, wisely and confidently. Here's what most people never realize about high blood pressure. It's not just about the numbers. It's about what's happening to your blood vessels over time. Blood pressure doesn't suddenly become dangerous overnight. It changes gradually, often starting with subtle stiffness in the arteries, chronic inflammation, poor circulation, and nervous system imbalance. By the time numbers rise clearly into the high range, damage may already be underway. Another critical point many people miss is this: stress, breathing patterns, sleep quality, and circulation all influence blood pressure immediately. That's why two readings taken minutes apart can be very different. Fast, shallow breathing activates stress hormones and tightens blood vessels. Calm, slow breathing does the opposite, relaxing arteries and lowering pressure in real time.